Have you ever really thought about what it takes to run an election for almost a billion people? I mean, it sounds kind of impossible, right? But somehow, India pulls it off. So, who's the referee in this massive democratic game? Well, let's dive in and meet the guardian of the Indian vote. Seriously, just think about that question for a second. The logistics, the sheer scale of it all, it's absolutely mind-boggling. And the answer, believe it or not, comes down to one single incredibly powerful organization. And here it is, the Election Commission of India, or the ECI. Now, the name's pretty straightforward, but there are two words here that are a huge deal: autonomous and constitutional. Constitutional means it was literally baked into the foundation of the country from day one. And autonomous? That means it's designed to be completely independent, like a neutral umpire that isn't playing for either team. And this wasn't some afterthought, you know. The ECI was set up way back in 1950, right when India was figuring itself out as a new republic. The founders knew, they absolutely knew, that for this whole democracy thing to work, the election process had to be rock solid and trustworthy from the very beginning. Okay, here's a little piece of trivia that seems small, but is actually pretty cool. The exact date it was created was January 25th. Now, just hold on to that date for a second, because it's gonna click in just a moment. And there it is. That's it. The reason we celebrate National Voters' Day every year on January 25th is because that's the day the Election Commission was born. So it's a celebration of you, the voter, and the institution that protects your vote. A pretty neat connection, right? All right, so we've established the ECI is a big deal. But what elections does it actually run? This is where it can get a little confusing for some people, so let's clear it up right now. Okay, so the ECI handles the heavy hitters. We're talking about the massive national elections for the Lok Sabha, you know, the ones that decide the prime minister. They also handle Rajya Sabha elections and every single state assembly election across the country. And it doesn't even stop there. They oversee the elections for the very top jobs, the president and the vice president of India. Now, this is a super important distinction to get. The Election Commission of India runs the national and state-level contests. But what about your local city or village elections, like for the municipalities or the panchayats? Well, that's a whole different story. That's handled by a completely separate body called the State Election Commission. And this isn't just some informal agreement. This division of labor is written right into the Constitution. The ECI's job stops at the state level. Local elections get their own dedicated referees. It's a really clear separation of power. So we've covered what the ECI is and what it does. But let's get to the biggest question of all. Why does its independence matter so much? You know, it all boils down to one word: trust. For a democracy to even work, people have to trust the results. The ECI is that independent referee, making sure the rules are followed, the game is fair, and that the voice of, get this, over 900 million voters is heard clearly without any political pressure. So the next time you see the incredible spectacle of an Indian election, just remember that silent guardian working behind the scenes. And that really leaves us with a powerful thought, doesn't it? When an entire body written into the Constitution exists just to guarantee fairness, what does that tell you about the real power of your single vote? Definitely something worth thinking about.